All right, guys, I think that the Democrats have actually painted themselves into a very dangerous corner here, assuming with the bipartisan support that we have seen against those who stormed the Capitol and the Senate chambers on January 6th. The bipartisan agreement that those violent actions were intolerable, that the vandalism, the defacement of federal property should be persecuted to the fullest of the law. Now that we're in agreement, I'm glad that we can revisit the statute of limitations on Nancy Pelosi and others who have been inciting violence across the United States in cities like Portland, where they've allowed nonstop riots, the Chaz occupation zone. Seeing Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and others endorse BLM and Antifa as they rioted across Kenosha and other states, burning and looting. If we're going to use this same facial recognition technology against Trump supporters who may have even remote proximity to those who actually committed violence, and if we're going to treat those who are waved in by cops past barriers and walked into the building by cops the same as those who physically assaulted and vandalized the building, if that's going to be the precedent, well, I think that Nancy Pelosi will be the next to face an impeachment by we the people for inciting violence. Her words encouraging and saying, as long as there is discontent in the heart of the people, there will be discontent in the streets. Again, these aren't my words. These are the words of famous Democrats. I believe if they're going to use Donald Trump statements like, go home, we want peace and no violence, as an incitement of violence, then what is the standard we're going to apply against these Democratic politicians who banged the war drum for BLM and Antifa while they literally burnt down American cities? Americans are not going to allow this injustice to stand. We will push for judicial equality. So if this is the standard, those in Portland who attacked federal buildings and threw commercial-grade fireworks at officers and blinded them with lasers and had cans of soup to assault people with, or shot people for their political ideologies, or intimidated others for their political ideologies, which should face these same bipartisan agreements. We see Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell decrying all of these actions by Republicans along with these Democrats. Well, now we should be in agreement that these equivocal actions, and many would say much more heinous by Antifa and BLM, need to be addressed with the same brevity. We need to also consider that these are equally heinous crimes. Many Americans have been shut down in their homes and watching their businesses burnt down, to see rampant looting. And if you're going to use facial recognition software, again, to link people with near association and get them fired from their jobs, and decry it loudly across the media and celebrate and rejoice over the political doxing of individuals, many of whom were actually waved in through barriers and did not actually violently overrun a barrier. Now, those who violently pushed into cops, assaulted cops, vandalized the buildings, me and unilaterally there has been a push against that as un-American, undemocratic, totally uncalled for violent behavior. No one is endorsing a mob mentality. But we do want equivocable justice. So if we're going to hold and use facial recognition and go after all of the people involved in the January 6th insurrection and incursion, then we should go against everybody who looted stores, burnt down car lots, drove around doing drive-by shootings, from Kenosha to Chicago to New York through Portland. We can't allow these things in these states to go without punishment and severely punish people only in one political ideology. That is un-American. We don't do one-way prosecutions. That's Soviet-style persecution. That's East and West Germany. We don't do that in America. Blind justice, equal. We're outraged, and this will not stand. Some lawyer that actually believes in the Constitution, who believes in fair and equal application of the law, should push for the prosecution of all of those individuals in Antifa who attacked not just the monuments, not just the courthouses, but the buildings and businesses and houses, who spray painted all over the streets. The mayors who allowed it to happen and stood down. What orders were made at the Capitol? Why did the police wave people in? Whose order was that? If we're going to hold people accountable, let's hold everyone accountable. Those on the left who incited different mobs to do things. As long as there's discontent in their hearts, there will be discontent on the streets. These aren't the words of calm Republicans. These are the words of impassioned and emboldened Democrats before mobs of Antifa and BLM burnt down cities, and they put on a random African tribal scarf and all took a knee. The racial pandering must end in this country. The media division must end in this country. We're Americans. We need to start acting like it on the world stage. We used to have intellectual debate on television and public intellects. Now we have past CIA leaders come on CNN to parrot the same exact message on every single broadband, including Fox. Now YouTube doesn't suggest any alternative news. It'll be just the couple mainstream media they want you to see. We're done with it. We want equal application of the law. We want truth. We want justice. We don't want to be spoon-fed lies and one-way narratives and inequalities. Not all conservatives are white or Caucasian. That is just absurd. Black conservatives like Candace Owens or Officer Tatum are called Uncle Toms by their tolerant leftist cohort. You know, we are Americans and we need to unite. The Democrats pretend like they want to unite America, but instead they're trying to impeach the greatest president we've ever had. 4 Nobel Peace nominations for 4 separate instances and agreements and peace treaties, and then 2 impeachments. The lowest African American unemployment rate, highest economy ever, called a racist. Treated like he's so racist, but the Mexican government put troops, 26,000, on their side of the border because they wanted to stop the cartel. They guarded our border. Trump just finished his first term as president, despite the ongoing onslaught from the Democrats, completed 80 plus new miles on the border, 450 plus of renovations, gave a speech at the Alamo. I'll agree with many people, it wasn't a very impassioned speech. But imagine, he really has been fighting for we the people and has been taking all of the punches. And now, big media, corporate interests are turning on even regular conservatives. They are exaggerating and extenuating the circumstances. Anyone who committed violence against those officers, anyone who vandalized, deserves to see justice. But also those in Antifa and BLM, those 47 officers deserve justice. Those Trump supporters who were attacked mercilessly in the street for their political ideology. That's un-American to be persecuted for religious or political affiliation. I don't know how we're going to heal as a country. I've said in other videos that I believe that perhaps a completely independent examination of the election. Again, there's 80 plus million people who are discontented. There's obvious people emboldened and impassioned. There's so many troops in DC. There are crazy individuals in our country. No one should be inciting violence. There should be able to be peacefully assembled, angry Americans who should be able to yell loudly our message. But that's not through vandalism or through violence. That's not the American way. But you can't silence everyone's idea. This is not Orwell. This is America. This is not 1984. It's 2021. Not Agenda 21. We want a sovereign American nation. I don't agree with Democrats, but I want to hear the Democratic message, and they should want to hear the conservative one. You need to reach out to friends and family and seek common ground. No matter what side of the political aisle you're on, we should all be aiming middle. And for justice, for truth, we should want an equal, fair examination. We should want to alleviate everyone who is discontented. We want to actually calm the tensions. If that's what everyone wants, shouldn't Joe Biden just ask for a fair, open audit? Shouldn't all of those signatures, shouldn't all of those ballots be easily authenticated and open? Now that we're past the inauguration, I mean, shouldn't he still call for it just to alleviate everyone? To calm the tensions? All those blue check marks on Twitter, shouldn't you call also for the Antifa and BLM to seek justice for all the things they did against our great country and our democracy? And on the left and on the right, everyone who incited violence, shouldn't they all seek justice? We see the harassment of different Congress members and senators now because of the discontent. But we only see one-way media outcry when we had Democrats decrying that conservatives should be chased out of restaurants or away from businesses. Or now as we see big tech censor President Trump, shut down his bank dealings, try and kick out his golf courses, remove him from YouTube, every social media, not just his official accounts, but his private accounts. He's not just dangerous as the president, he's dangerous as an idea and a thought leader. Well, you know what? We don't need Orwell. We don't need thought controllers. This is America. Freedom of speech still reigns. For now. And those of us will continue to fight with our words, that eloquent, that everlasting battle of ideas and debate, not with our fists, but we will boldly stand for the Constitution and for our fellow countrymen and for equal application of the law. I pray that lawyers will stand and now use this precedent set against these people who do deserve to be brought to justice, but use that same precedent against those other people who deserve to be brought to justice. If you agree, please give this video a thumbs up. Please consider sharing it with a friend or family member who might need to hear this message. Please don't lose hope in the great American experiment. It belongs to you and me and everyone you talk to, and settle down and remind that between all of our different ideas, we stand together. Divided we will fall, but united we stand. Under God, for country and for fellow man. This is the Triggered Newscast. We'll see you at the next one.